Hey guys, welcome to the video and thank you very much for purchasing your Draco products. So in this video we will be looking at installing the Draco front and rear buggy shock towers into your HPI Vorza Flux or Nitro buggy. So you will receive the shock towers like this. You will receive 4 3x22mm cap head screws, these 4 washers, which I will talk about more later, and then the new custom Draco M4 shock standoffs pre-installed with the M4 nuts as well. There are 4 per tower. Alright, so I expected customers would be making adjustments to their suspension when they install these, so the location of these standoffs are by no means a recommended setup, so please go ahead and change them around as you see fit in the optional holes here. Okay, and of course you can see the new aluminium 7075 black hard anodized shock protectors that are now included with the front buggy tower only. Okay, so at the top here you can see the parts that we will be reusing. We have the body posts and the front portion of the body. We have the 3x12mm button head screws that mount the shock towers to the HPI bulkheads. You reuse those. We have the 4 nuts that will pair with these screws to mount the upper arms into the shock tower. So the stock HPI ones will no longer be needed because they're not long enough due to the extra thickness to the tower. Then we have the wing mount and then the necessary hardware for that. So yeah, this is all the things you will get and you will need. So let's go ahead and install into the vehicle. Okay guys, let's get started with the rear shock tower. So before we install it in the vehicle, there is some pre-assembly required. So we will be adding the rear body post and the wing mount before installing. So let's go ahead and do that. So the wing mount will install on this side where the pocket has been machined. So we put the line up the screws, make sure that nut doesn't fall out, put that back in again, and then I will install the 3x20mm cap screws in the top and then get the nut started on the 3x12mm screws. Okay, I'm going to get my 2.5mm wrench and tighten them. They don't need to be too tight, just until they are snug. There we go. Then you will need to use a 2.5mm wrench and a nut wrench to tighten these up. Okay, 1 and 2. Okay, so that completes the wing mount. You can see it's on there. Next we'll be installing the rear body post. So you can see there's a machined pocket here, and the boss of the body post will mount into the top one, just like that. Then you can grab one of these 3x12mm button head screws, 2mm wrench, and install that. Same location as stock. There we go. Okay, so that is the pre-assembly done. It's ready to go into the vehicle. So let me get the vehicle up here. So I'm going to move aside all of these parts. We will come back to the front shock tower soon. So let's go ahead and get the buggy up here. Okay, so you can see I have my HPI Vorza buggy Flux in front of you. I've already gone ahead and pre-installed the other Draco upgrades just to show you, but I would advise taking off the battery boxes just to allow more access for all of this But yeah, you can see I've removed the stock shock towers. The upper arms are free. These are where the 3x22mm cap screws I included will be used. But yeah, let's go ahead and install the rear shock tower. So first, let's where is it? Over here. Let's line it up, and yeah, everything lines up stock, and then you can add these 3x12mm button screws in the same place. So let me go ahead and install these 4 screws, and let me show you. Okay, so I have installed the rear shock tower onto the bulkhead and the vehicle, and now it's done. I've also gone ahead and installed the upper arms onto the tower as well, and the hole closest to stock position is the inside row at the very bottom. It's not exact, so you will need to adjust your turnbuckles to get the ideal camber, but yeah, as you are replacing the shock tower, I would encourage this anyway. Right, so the upper arms are in, the shock tower's on. Now let's get the shocks mounted onto the tower as well. Alright, let's mount the shocks. So first, take off the M4 nuts from the shock standoffs, and then simply just slide over the shocks. Alright, and then reinstall the M4 nuts. 7mm wrench, nut wrench, and then tighten them up. Not too tight, firm. Alright, so this brings me to these washers. Now, if you're mounting the standoff in the 2 upper positions on the tower, there is just the slightest hint of contact between the shock cap and tower around this lip here at the bottom. It's very, very small. So I have included these washers to go on before you install the shock. So just like that, and then like this. This will bring the shock out more so it doesn't make contact with the tower, but only in these top 2 positions. So if you're using any of the other 5, you will not need to use these washers. And when I make the next run of these parts, I will adjust the length of this so there is more clearance between the shock cap. I've already made 600 of these, so I cannot change them yet, but I have rectified this by adding in these washers. Okay, so I am not mounting on that, so I can take these washers off. Alright, put the shock back on, and then tighten this up. I also have my wing off to make this much easier to access. Yeah. Okay, so that is the rear shock tower installed. Let's move on to the front shock tower. Okay guys, so let's go ahead and mount the front shock tower now. But unlike the rear shock tower, we are going to pre-install the body mount into the shock tower. You don't need to screw it down yet, but this is just easier to get the mount on now rather than after it's mounted. So place the shock tower into position, and then you'll get your 4 3x12 screws and screw these in. Remember, these are the ones you took off the vehicle before. So I will go ahead and screw these down, and we will continue with the install. Okay, so now the front shock tower is attached, and I've also gone ahead and mounted the upper arms to the shock tower. You can see the positions I have used on the shock tower. This hole here is the closest to stock. It is not exact, so please make sure you adjust your turnbuckles and your camber and so on to get your desired settings. Things would have changed after installing this shock tower. Alright, So now, as I mentioned before, the front body mount is just sitting here. It's not fully mounted yet. So we will be fully mounting this by using the 3x12 screw attached to the front portion of the body. So the reason you add this now is because you can't access the 4 screws to attach this to the bulkhead. So we attach this last. So just put that in the bottom hole and then use your 2mm wrench to screw that in. Right here, right there. I bought a clear body for my Vorza buggy and I painted it Draco colors. That's why this is yellow. Okay, and it just needs to be firm, not too tight. And now that's in position. Alright, next we will be attaching the shocks. So take off the M4 nuts. And once again, if you have mounted to the top 2 holes on the shock tower, I recommend using this spacer or washer. You put this on and then you attach the shock tower. This will keep the shock cap and tower making contact. But since I'm not in that position, I will remove that and mount it the standard way. Put the nuts on. You will definitely need to play around with your springs and oils to get your desired settings. And then screw that on. Okay, so that is the front shock tower installed, ready to go. Okay, so that completes the install of the Draco front and rear buggy shock towers. I hope you found this useful. But finally, the body. Just one more point I'd like to talk about. You may find that the body will make contact with the shock tower. So if that happens, I just recommend trimming a little bit off the front and rear so they don't make contact. I have had to do that just to clear everything for a better fit. Yeah, and this is my painted body. Right, so I do have other products available. You can see I have the front and rear chassis braces and of course the Draco motor mount with the split design. I do have videos on installing these parts in both the Truggy and Buggy. So please check those out. I will leave a link in the description for you. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments section or give me an email. I'll be happy to help. Alright, thank you very much and see you in the next video.